Hey there, vinyl lovers, listen up. It's time to take your vinyl experience to the next level with SidetrackedWorkshop.com. Sidetracked Workshop has gorgeous, handcrafted record storage, exquisitely cool turntable furniture, all made with beautiful hardwood out of the USA. Sidetracked Workshop blends style, functionality, and durability. You spend a small fortune on records, don't keep them in a crate. Store and display in style with a console or cabinet from SidetrackedWorkshop.com. Elevate your vinyl setup at SidetrackedWorkshop.com.
And now, on with the show. Welcome to The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. Here's your host, the biggest record nerd of them all, Nate Goyer.
Hello everyone. Welcome to episode 470 of The Vinyl Guide, the podcast for record collectors and music nerds. And ladies and gentlemen, today we have the absolute honor of welcoming to the show Mr. Steve Diggle of the Buzzcocks. Now, today Steve's going to take us on a journey through the early days of punk rock, from seeing Sex Pistols in Manchester to creating the iconic Spiral Scratch EP. He's going to share stories behind their music, the rare recordings, their record labels, the lasting legacy of punk rock as Steve discusses in his new book, Autonomy, and of course, Buzzcocks' continued influence today, as evidenced by their recent shows with Descendants, NoFX, and other bands who claim Buzzcocks as a major influence. And by the way, Buzzcocks are buzzing through Australia here in the coming weeks. Brisbane, Adelaide, Fremantle, Newcastle, Sydney, Melbourne, Lorne, and Castlemaine. Tickets and details at buzzcocks.com. And hey, if you like punk rock, well, we've got plenty of other episodes and interviews with punk legends and the records they made, including episode 461 with Henry Rollins, talking collectible records and more. That's episode 461 of The Vinyl Guide. Al Baril of SSD and Exclaim Records, discussing those wonderful Boston hardcore rarities, episode 456. The Saints' Ed Cooper and Mudhoney's Mark Arm joined us to talk early Brisbane punk records, episode 455. Dimitri Coates of Off discussed their grand finale, Free LSD, record and movie, and what's next for the band, episode 459, and literally hundreds more interviews. So, follow our goddamn podcast in your podcast app. Hit that little checkbox that says follow, and you'll be able to download and enjoy any of these episodes anytime you want. Well, alrighty, without further delay, let's get on the horn with Mr. Steve Diggle of Buzzcocks. Hello, Steve.
Hi.
You're looking good. You look like you just got off the golf course.
It was the closest thing I could find. I'm just trying to go up, really.
That's all right. We don't publish the video. This is just for you and me. You could show up without a shirt. It's going to be fine.
Right.
So Steve,
That's a good shirt.
it is. That looks very good. Certainly better than what I got on. Steve, let me get the plugs out of the way here real quick. Buzzcocks coming to Australia just a few weeks.
Yeah.
You're getting ready. Is your stuff already packed yet?
Not yet. We just got back from America, so going to do some washing.
Yeah. Well, that shirt doesn't look like it's laundry day.
Somebody has.
All right.
Yeah.
Buzzcocks in Australia, October and November. Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Newcastle, Sydney, and Melbourne. Of course, you can get those tickets at buzzcocks.com. See those dates. And the new book, Steve Diggle, Autonomy, Portrait of a Buzzcock. It's available in some parts of the world, other parts it's not, but you could hop on wherever books are sold, and if you can't get one right away, then you could pre-order it, and it'll get to you at the earliest possible opportunity. Steve, I've been reading this book. Great book. Congratulations on this book. The story of your life, yeah?
Yeah. It's kind of, I mean, the book publishers really went it. Yeah, story of my life rather than a lot more detail about the music, really, the man behind the music kind of thing.
It does a very good job of painting the story. There's one thing that I thought was really funny because, there's a lot of areas that I thought were largely entertaining, but this one in particular, because people always say punk rock started as a reaction to people getting sick of the progressive rock and the extravagant organ solos and things like that. But you literally had that experience. It was like a lightning bolt after you saw Yes with Rick Wakeman, and it made you very frustrated. Yeah?
Well, yes. Not only that, there was a guy called Patrick Morantz that replaced Rick Wakeman.
Mm-hmm.
And he was at the Free Trade Hall, and he had a bank of keyboards, like a telephone extender keyboards. And they were doing all these blips and bleeps, which they're all kind of meaningless at that point. And then he brought an Alpine horn out, the length of the stage. And I thought, something's got to change, you know. I thought something's got to change. And from then on, you know, I started thinking about, 3-minute songs, smashing the equipment up in my mind and things like that, you know. A more direct approach to music, you know, which became punk rock. Yeah.
Now, had you stumbled upon the Sex Pistols at the Manchester Free Trade Club show? You weren't supposed to be there. You kind of got pulled in. A very amusing story we can go into, but you hadn't heard about punk rock up till that point. Did you hear the term? Were you familiar with it at all?
Not particularly. No. I mean, there was no punk rock in 1976, really, or at the beginning. I mean, what happened was one of the other guys had met the Sex Pistols in London, brought them to Manchester, and put a poster up. It was Howard up, Pete, and I was still outside the Free Trade Hall, and Malcolm McLaren, the Pistols manager, said they're inside. I was arranged to meet some guy outside the Free Trade Hall to go to a bar around the corner. So it all fake, really. But also, I was going to form this band and do the 3-minute songs, like I said earlier, and that was my plan. And then I bumped into the other two, or was introduced to them, and we got well, and then that became the Buzzcocks. Strange coincidence, you know. Strange quirk of fate.
Incredible coincidence. And Malcolm McLaren, I guess he was always a salesperson. I guess he was just trying to get you inside, I think. He was just trying to get you to what was a poorly attended show at that point, yeah?
Well, yes, it was poorly attended. And he was also into that, sort of French Dada situationist thing where, he creates situations in a way, And I said I'm forming a group, and I think Pete and Howard, they was expecting somebody else, They put an ad in a paper. I'd answered an ad in another paper, and so the person they were supposed to meet and the person I was supposed to meet, they're probably still waiting outside the Free Trade Hall now. Somebody should go and tell them it's not happening.
Well, it's funny because in your book, you actually you reveal, I think for the first time, that the person actually did call you back. You went out for a beer with the person that you were supposed to meet originally.
Oh, yes, I did eventually, yeah. And, but we'd already gone to rehearsal, I think. I mean, the next day, we rehearsed as a Buzzcocks, or three of us, through this little album. And that was a beginning. And then I think the day after I met the guy, and realized that they want to work with that guy anyway,
Yeah.
And I kind of said, I've just met these other guys. It's going to be called the Buzzcocks. So I'll see how that. I kind of said I'll see how that goes.
He's still waiting by the phone, by the way.
He's still waiting by the phone.
So the name Buzzcocks was already there. It wasn't something that you were part of that conversation. Pete and Howard had already sorted that band name out.
Yeah, it was actually Howard. There was a review for a TV show called Rock Follies, which was about three girls in the 70s trying to make it in a rock band.
Mm-hmm.
And in the local paper, he said, Rock Follies is on, so have a good buzz, Cox. I think a cock up north in England was like friend, buddy, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it just said have of a Buzz-Cox, enjoy the show kind of thing. And Howard, I think it was, joined the two words together and said, "Oh, Buzzcocks," So it was him that did that. And funny enough, Howard only did 10 shows. It is after all.
It was only 10, because I know he was there for 6 months, so you guys only did 10 shows with Howard during that time?
Yes. It's 10 shows, and he was only there for 6 months or something. But he coined the phrase, and he effectively started the band and then left, kind of thing. Switch.
Yeah. So when Howard announced he was leaving the band, I know that you and Pete said, "Okay, we're continuing on." Did you try to talk him into staying, or there was no opportunity for that?
Well, no, yes. Actually, he was still at college doing his finals with his degree. And also, he said, "I've done what I've wanted to do," which was we made Spiral Scratch the independent record ourselves, £500, made 1,000 singles, and that was people loved that, and he got good reviews and everything in all the papers, so we was kind of on the map, a little step on the map.
So I just happen to have one of those here.
Right.
They're
very precious.
It is. Wow. It's very precious. I imagine you have a few of these at home stashed away, yeah?
No, not really. No, I'm not sure where I've got one now, the original one.
Oh, you want to buy mine?
Yeah, I might too.
I tell you what, when you get to Australia, this is yours.
Right.
Question for you. The sleeve. I understand. Now, our show is for record collectors, right?
Yes.
And I understand the first set of sleeves were actually hand assembled. There was a batch of them that you guys had to put them together yourself. Is that right?
That's right. What happened was, they came in a plain sleeve, and all the band had to take out the plain sleeve and put it in that picture sleeve,
Okay.
So that drove me and Pete crazy. We kept nipping to the pub around the corner.
So, were there any sleeves where you had to glue them? Any, really put them together? No?
No, the sleeve came already made. It was in one of them plain sleeves, and we had to put it in the picture sleeve. Well, when you're doing 1,000, when you're 20 years old, that seemed a lot to us, Incidentally, with that sleeve, of course, the picture on the front, we had a Polaroid camera, and we had 2 films. So the first picture that was taken, I think Howard had his eyes closed, so we had one picture left. One piece of film, and that became the picture. We had 2 goes at this. The first one didn't work out, and the second one did. So thank goodness it did.
Wow. Okay. So you had two opportunities for a picture, and the first one was blown by Howard, and so everyone's holding their eyes open for the second one, I bet.
Well, exactly. It's like, we've got to make all this picture. we've only got 2 films.
Now, back in the day, you guys had 1,000 of these. How did you distribute them? How did you get them out? Did you the band distribute them? Did you put them on gigs? How did they get out there?
Yeah, the idea was we'd played a few gigs, and we were going to sell them at the gigs, really, It was like we'd done a few shows, and it'd be great if we could hear ourselves, so we went and recorded this, and, it'd be great to sell them at the gigs. That was the idea. So we sold some of the gigs and stuff, and then Jeff Travis from Rough Trade Records, he phoned up and said, I've got distribution, I could take over this thing. So he actually pressed more up, But I think initially that 1,000 went pretty quick. But he continued then via Rough Trade to distribute these things,
Right. Okay.
Yeah, it was just that, we thought, we're not really a record company. We didn't have any distribution things. So, it was just to hear ourselves and sell it to a few local fans. That was the idea.
Yeah. You weren't sure. You didn't even have in mind you'd get a bigger record deal or anything like that. It was just a bit of a band
No,
project.
exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, even then, it wasn't a record deal with that. It was just like he said he'll distribute those things because he kind of had a shop and stuff and a distribution network. So, so it was like, well, okay, alleviated of this thing,
And the record label, New Hormones, do you know how that name was selected?
That may have come from the manager, Richard Broom.
Okay.
I think so. I'm not 100% certain. It would have been Howard or Richard Broom at that moment, yeah.
All right. Well, this is, again, very precious record to me, but you come down here to Australia, I'll make sure you have one in your hands.
Yeah. I mean, I've probably got one somewhere. It's just that I can't believe I haven't held on to it. It's probably an ex-wife or girlfriend got the original one.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
But things happen. When you move on from girlfriends in the time.
You know what? That may
I left a lot of singles.
Well, that may have been a good deal for you if all it cost you was a couple of records. So, hey, back in the day, did you get copies? Do you remember if there was test presses of Spiral Scratch? Did you guys get a test at all that you got to play before they made all the 1,000?
Yes, there would have been. I remember hearing the test pressing, yes, but I don't know what happened to it. There was probably one test pressing between all four of us and stuff, so I don't know who saw that.
All right.
Or whether it still exists,
Yeah.
You never know with things along the way. There might be one somewhere.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be fun. If you find one of those in a box, you let me know.
Yes.
So throughout the Buzzcocks and even your solo work, did you get a lot of test presses? Did you hang on to those sort of things?
Not really, but I have got. I did a solo album about 4 or 5 years ago called Inner Space Times, and I think I've got about 4 test pressings of that. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's one sentence of test pressing of the full album. Yeah. I remember I've sort of got them somewhere. Yeah. But initially, once we signed to a major sort of record label, they're probably in storage somewhere. The test pressings of a lot of the Buzzcocks ones. In terms of that, they probably, sent them to us, and they probably got them back to hold on to somewhere, maybe,
Yeah. Well, no one held on to those back then. They didn't see them as anything other than, disposable.
Yeah, it was like, well, that's okay. It sounds good, so continue. You've got the permission to press them. Mm-hmm. So, but I don't remember any member ever having a test pressing as such or holding on to it, Probably what happened was, we had Martin Hanna, he pressed that, he produced that Spiral Scratch. But the other records, Martin Rushton, he probably would have kept the test presses. We would have probably listened with him, and then he would have kept, or the label would, United Artists, Quite often we'd come from Manchester to London. We just signed a record deal, and we recorded Orgasm Addict and stuff. And we'd go to the office, and the test pressing would be there to listen to. So it was probably left in the archives of United Artists, and then it became EMI. So it was always with listening in the office, really, rather than person at home,
Yeah.
So it was always left there,
It probably went in a skip bin in the early 80s.
Could well have been, because when we was on EMI, even the balcony of the building where the Beatles looked down, I mean, that got chopped off and put in a canteen in another EMI when it moved. And then I'm not sure that it exists. You can't believe it. Record companies, they're so careless with some of the precious stuff, Yeah. But it may exist somewhere.
Well, hopefully that gets unearthed somewhere. Now, with Spiral Scratch, there were 4 songs on there: Breakdown, Time's Up, Boredom, and Friends of Mine. But at that time, you'd been playing live. You had songs like Orgasm Addict and a few others. Was that ever considered to be on Spiral Scratch, or why were these songs selected? Hey there, all you record nerds. I want to tell you about BagsUnlimited.com. BagsUnlimited.com has a huge selection of vinyl record supplies. Whether you collect LPs, 7-inch singles, 78 shellacs, or anything in between, BagsUnlimited.com will sort you out. From polyline sleeves to cardboard record mailers to 7-inch storage boxes and archive quality record sleeves, protect your records of any size and shape at BagsUnlimited.com. Whether you have a small personal record collection or you're running a massive record shop, you can grab a small supply or even buy in bulk at BagsUnlimited.com. And they've got some really incredible, unique stuff. BagsUnlimited.com even has special size sleeves made especially to protect your box sets, storage boxes and sleeves for cassette tapes, protective supplies for reel-to-reel, and yes, even 8-tracks. Just go to BagsUnlimited.com, click on audio supplies, and prepare to be impressed by all the options they have. That's BagsUnlimited.com. At that time, you'd been playing live. You had songs like Orgasm Addict and a few others. Was that ever considered to be on Spiral Scratch, or why were these songs selected?
Well, they seem to kind of work, as the sequence that it was there. And, so I think Orgasm Addict was in line for being the next single. Because you're right, it was there at the beginning. But those 4 songs on Spiral Scratch seem to make sense, seem to work, because I suppose the prime thing was, and the message was boredom, that was felt like a catalyst, along with Anarchy in the UK and White Riot from The Clash, where we're saying boredom, which is like an existentialist thought in a way at the time. People, French existentialists used to write about boredom and stuff like that. So, that works, and, Time's Up and Breakdown all seem to fit in well. So, friends of mine, so that worked. But also, we was thinking, well, the next one should be Orgasm Addict, and that's when we signed to a major record company, United Artists.
Did United Artists have any challenges with Orgasm Addict? At the time, that probably would have been slightly controversial.
Yes, they did. Well, we went with United Artists because a guy called Andrew Lauder, he came to see us many times, and we had offers from like 6. The only thing was we had offers from 6 major record companies. We thought if we took the Spiral Scratch demo into gig deal, they'd laugh us out of the building because nobody had heard this kind of stuff at the time. And as soon as we put the Spiral Scratch out, then we got offered, 6 major record companies offered deals.
Who else? Besides United Artists, who else was coming to take you to dinner?
Oh, CBS and all the other major record companies that were around at the time, There were 6 of them rolling up offering deals,
Richard Branson come up at all?
I think he was, yeah. I'm not sure how big we actually were at the time, but yes, I suppose it would have been. Probably Richard Branson, all of them, and I know there's 6 of them, so probably Polydor and all these people. But I know CBS offered us open checkbooks and saying, don't fancy an art in all this stuff. But we thought this guy, Andrew Lauder, he would give us artistic control and sympathetic to what we're doing. And he'd come to quite a few shows to talk about these things, So we thought, he understands it a bit. So then we said, well, the first single is Orgasm Addict. So he said, okay, so recorded that. And then he went to the pressing plant, and the pressing plant wouldn't print it. They said, I said, put release date in the papers, in the NMAs and the Sounds and Melody Maker at the time. Buzzcocks are going to release this single, Orgasm Addict. And then the pressing plant refused to press it, saying that we're not going to press this, Phil. Orgasm Addict. We can't be putting that on the record. And so the release date was put back 3 weeks. While they negotiated that this was art.
Wow.
So, yeah, of all the things, we didn't think the actual pressing plant would be refusing to press it,
But also, the cover of the single, there's a bit of nudity, semi-nudity on there, so that may have been something that raised the eyebrow too.
But there was that as well. There was the lyrical content, and then there was the visual thing of a kind of woman with an iron on her head, really,
Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely art, it was like a collage, and about, using a woman as an object,
Yeah.
It was starting answering that, making a statement that way. So I suppose you put that all together, and the shop floor pressing plant decided that wasn't art, really.
How involved was the band in the artwork? So, for example, the cover of Orgasm Addict, or even the cover of Another Music in a Different Kitchen. Were you guys across that? Were you helping design it? What was your role in it?
Well, there was a girl called Linda who was doing these collages, and we let her do that. She was already doing. She was already doing some different collages, and there was like a brochure she made with our fan club at the time was called Secret Public, so they made like this a sort of leaflet thing, like a gatefold leaflet thing of collages similar to the Orgasm Addict thing, and so there was all right. It was like the pop art collages of the 60s, in the 50s and 60s, and stuff like that. So we gave her freedom to do it. Oh, she made that the woman with her iron on her head, to simplify it. She made that, and we liked it and said, let's put that on the front, And so that's what happened, really. We gave her the cover to do that, yeah. Because we liked it, and we said, let's put that on. That looks fitting with Orgasm Addict, and it looked new and modern at the time. Nobody was doing that kind of thing, in that early punk days. So it gave it a distinctive thing,
Oh.
And he opened up a lot of debate and, controversies in ways.
Which I'm sure was a bit of fun for the band as well. I mean, you want to provoke, especially, a new artist. That's, that could work in your favor.
Well, absolutely. I mean, the amount of people that come to the shows now, even that said when they was like 15 or 16 or whatever, they played that record upstairs in the bedroom, and the mum or dad had come up and they're going, what are you listening to? Orgasm, the amount of parents that shocked at the time was unbelievable, So, according to the fans. And of course, the people that bought it when you're young, it was great to sort of upset your parents in that kind of way,
Absolutely. Absolutely. So the album, Another Music in a Different Kitchen, we'll talk about that, but let me ask you, are you familiar with the Australian band Hard-Ons?
Yes, no, not familiar, but I know the name, yeah.
Yeah. So they did a bit of a tribute for Another Music in a Different Kitchen. I don't know if you've seen that. Here's the cover here.
Oh, really? I've not seen that. No. Yeah.
They shared that they are big fans of Buzzcocks, and this is a tribute to that album.
Wow, that's amazing, isn't it? Yeah. Yes.
All right.
Well, because did they do one like Spinal Scratch? Yeah.
I know that they're record collectors and they're music fans. And they go very deep when it comes to their taste, and that album, that cover is a tribute because I think they all the members really loved that album, especially when they were growing up. So I tell you what, again, when you get to Sydney, I'm going to make sure you have one of those in your suitcase for the trip back home.
I mean, that's a great compliment, isn't it? That as well. The name of the Hold-Ons is like
some correlation between that and the Buzzcocks in a way. It sounds, well,
that's true.
Sounds like it could have come from that somewhere. Yeah,
they were. I'm sure they were influenced by the muscle that provokes.
Yes.
So another music in a different kitchen. This album, it was originally there were a couple different pressings early on. The track "I Need" was left on some records, and some of them were pressed without that song on it. Do you recall that at all?
Vaguely, yes. Because that kind of thing happened to a couple of other things as well, really, I think, but mainly that, yeah. I don't know how these things happen. You kind of send things in and then you can get roughly, mistakes happen with it, yeah. I remember that happening. I don't know whether I don't know how many got out there, but I haven't got one of those either, But they rectified that, eventually. But I think there's probably also some out there with the track missing,
Yeah. So the way you tell, and this is for anyone listening who has a copy of an original UK copy of another Music in a Different Kitchen, you look at side 2. The song "I Need" is on the label, it's on the cover, but it's not on the record. If you look at side 2 and there's 4 songs instead of 5, then you have a very serious collectible there. So that's the test.
Well, also another thing as well. See, my first song was Fast Cars. That was mainly my song. I did all the music and the chorus Fast Cars. And I'm not credited on the first presses of the album as well.
Oh, okay. So it's to Howard and Pete, but no Steve around there.
Yeah. And on the next pressing, they changed it. But on the initial one, it's not that. So I was going, that's my song. I mean, they wrote the verse. Well, I'd left my verses at home. And I've done a rough demo of it to the music, Fast Cars. I hate Fast Cars. And because Howard was the singer at the time, it was like, well, okay, change the verses so it suits you, So that's how, but they know it's my song, really, that. But when it comes to the pressing once again, and he's probably there with that missing track "I Need," which is also my song with Pete. It just says Shelley DeVoto on the first pressing, where it should say Diggle Shelley DeVoto. We say eventually changed as well,
Right. Oh, okay. All right. I'm going to have to look at my copy upstairs to see which one I have.
Yeah. If the original ones, I'm not credited on it. Luckily, I get my publishing for it, of course, but...
that's important.
Yeah, that's important. But yeah, and I was like, that's missing. And then, of course, the thing with "I Need" as well,
Yeah. So I'm interested to hear why in an era where a lot of people in music, especially punk rock, were giving themselves these new names, these new personas. Even Pete, even Howard, they altered their names. How did you get away with just using your government name straight out from day one? Hey there, audiophiles. If you're seeking stylish furniture to showcase your stereo and record collection, well, look no further than SidetrackedWorkshop.com. Sidetracked Workshop designs extraordinarily elegant record cabinets and consoles that add sophistication and panache to your music hobby. Handcrafted in the good old USA in the vinyl-loving city of Portland, Oregon, Sidetracked Workshop's designs are a music lover's dream. Made with real walnut veneered wood and brass accents, these gorgeous designs add class and taste to the record room and ship fully assembled and ready to enjoy. Just check out the designs for yourself at SidetrackedWorkshop.com. Look, you spend thousands of dollars on records. Don't keep them in a crate, and don't risk your records on those feeble wooden pegs from IKEA. Your music deserves the dignity of Sidetracked Workshop. That's SidetrackedWorkshop.com. Elegant solutions for the vinyl lifestyle. Oh, And hey, record nerds, don't forget to clean your records with the very best and safest record cleaner, the Groove Washer. Make your records look and sound their very best and store them with confidence using the new Groove Washer Groove Guard record sleeves. You gotta try this out. It makes a huge difference to the quality of your vinyl experience. Ask for the Groove Washer by name at your local record store and accept no substitutes. Or head over to groovewasher.com and use discount code VINYLGUIDE10.
All hail the Groove Washer.
That's groovewasher.com, discount code VINYLGUIDE10. In an era where a lot of people in music, especially punk rock, were giving themselves these new names, these new personas, even Pete, even Howard, they altered their names. How did you get away with just using your government name straight out from day one?
Well, in the early days, we were talking, and Howard was saying he was going to change his name, and Pete was. And they said, well, change your name. And I remember reading this book by Jan Wayne, Lennon Remembers, John Lennon. Remember reading this book about John Lennon. And he said, Bob Dylan's not Bob Dylan, he's Lindemann, That's who he is, It was, when John Lennon was going for that first Plastic Ono Band album, that era. Right. And, he said, my name's John Lennon, I wouldn't change my name. So when it comes to me, Pete and Howard had changed theirs, and I just remembered that, and I thought I ain't changing my name to somebody else,
Right.
And in some ways, people thought I'd made my own name up anyway.
So did you have a runner-up? Were you Steve Danger? Did you try a few things, or were you always Steve Diggle from day one?
Well, Howard did. When Howard left, he came to one of our gigs, but on the guest list, we put Mal Rothman because he didn't want anybody to know that, he was coming to the show kind of thing. He wanted to just kind of sneak in, watch the thing and go. So I didn't want his name on the guest list. So I think we put him down as Mal Rothman. It's Mal Rothman cigarettes all the time. So I couldn't imagine myself being called Marcel Vogue or Mal Rothman or something like that, I thought, I'm Steve Diggle, I'm going to stick with that. So I did,
It's worked well for you. Now, was there a bit of a competition between Buzzcocks and Magazine in the early days?
Not really, no, Howard left, which was amazingly a great thing, because he started the band with the 10 shows and Spiral Scratch. Then we was a bit short, he left, but we actually... It was a good thing, really. I couldn't have seen where it was going to go after that. So it was left to me and Pete then. I sort of moved over to guitar, and that became the classic sound, the two guitars together and stuff. And Magazine had their own thing, and I really like Magazine, But so there's no competition, really. I kind of thought, you got two bands for the price of one kind of thing,
Mm-hmm.
It's like, well, Magazine has their own thing. But if he just stayed, then you wouldn't have had the Buzzcocks that we know, right. Really, all the classic thing. With hindsight, you think that was the best movie ever made,
Mm-hmm.
And personally and everything, I think Howard wanted to do something else. But me and Pete really got on well. And also musically, we could interpret what we were doing in terms of how it developed, and it became a bit more melodic then, for us with like, What Do I Get, stuff like that. Well, I had a demo cassette, I had this song called I Might Need You, Do What You Want, Don't Make Me Blue, just rough working words. But it's all about the I, it's like, but I might, she's like, da, 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 da. So I played this to Pete. And then a couple of days later, he said, I've got this song, what do I get? I thought, it's not a million miles from my demo, What do I get? I might need you. It was all about that I bit a little bit, but that kind of inspired him to write that. And it would be, it became a little bit more melodic, with Sparrow's Crack's a bit more jerky, you know,
Right.
that kind of thing. You could see this sort of melodic side coming out. And I wrote this song called Promises, and with the music and the chorus. And once again, I left my words on because there's only a demo in there piece, and I've got some words for the verses. I was humming the melody. So those kind of songs took us into that melodic phase of Buzzcocks, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the same time was the sort of avant-garde thing as well, where I did this song Autonomy, the name of the book, where because we was interested in like crowd rock music and stuff like that, and noise and avant-garde stuff, there was always that angular thing in Buzzcocks as well musically. So we had so I did this song Autonomy, which was I thought it was me pretending to be a German singing English.
Yeah.
So I was, it's very weird when I was 20. I was listening to Can and thinking, that's the German guy trying to sing English, you know. Just it's kind of going something like, I want you mother sky, that kind of thing. And I thought it's kind of weird listening to them sing a German trying to sing English. So I thought, I'll pretend to be an English belt trying to be a German singing English, you know. So I'm there with my guitar at home and I'm going like, I want you autonomy, you know. And that's how I kind of got to the song. But musically it was interesting as well because I just went straight down the neck as the intro of, well, I was a little chug on the E, but, and then I went straight down the neck. I thought, let me think unconventionally, not just like a bunch of chords that you normally do, you know, chords and things. I just went all the way down the neck, or most of the things, and going, I thought it's the most like unconventional thing to do, really. So I had that bit, and then I had to think an inverted thing coming back of the riff, that kind. So the few things going on there with it in the punk rock days, that was all pretty unconventional, or a bit more avant-garde than your linear, straightforward song.
Mm-hmm.
So that few interesting things about it. And he said, didn't there, young Johnny Marr from the Smiths was listening.
Yeah.
Went out and bought that album, and he said, Autonomy blew him away. Particularly the riff, you know. Dang, 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 all that. And I think he's done some podcasts, not podcasts, but some kind of, yes, some musical thing where he's got that, you know, he's actually playing himself going, this riff inspired me, and I thought that was the new sound of Manchester, you know. So there's a lot of great things about that song, Autonomy, you know. And we also had one on the first album, Fiction Romance. Now, P had he had the chord going, and I looked at him and I said, and I just did one note on it. So he went, and I went, just one note. Without that one note in that song, the song just wouldn't really exist probably. So, so I contributed one note musically to that song, but the most important note of the song, you know, you know.
That's right. Well, it's those details that I think people really appreciate in Buzzcocks, and it doesn't surprise me that influenced Johnny Marr. I'm sure it had a big influence on Andy Gill and Gang of Four. A lot of people have taken a page from the Buzzcocks book that you guys wrote early on.
Absolutely. I mean, also the idiosyncratic and avant-garde or artsy little bit of it, really, you know, because, like I say, we had the conventional things, like the Promises, What Do I Get, the linear songs, but we also had those kind of things, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And also things like Moving Away from the Pulse beat on that album too, you know. So there's quite a few avant-garde things on that album. It took punk rock to different places as well as because the Sex Pistols are all in here, straightforward kind of punk rock. And the Classic first, the Classic first album was on kind of linear. On our album, we had the songs like I Don't Mind and Fast Scars and stuff, which kind of like straightforward in. But we had those other things, So I think that took us in a different area,
Yeah.
But that was an important album. Probably my favourite one out of them three, really. The initial three we did.
It still holds up so well. The
Yeah.
other album I wanted to talk to you about is Singles Going Steady,
Yeah.
because that was released, as I understand it, correct me if I'm wrong, but that was a compilation of the different singles released for the U.S. market because you guys were getting ready to tour and to get people familiar with what they were going to be hearing. Is that correct?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, what happened was, I think we'd had about 8 hits in the charts of those singles. Those singles were, on the top of the pops here, the television charts and all that stuff. So it took us 2 years to get to America because we're so busy over here and in Europe. And so it was time to go to America. And we was on IRS, Miles Copeland's label at the time, going through A&M Records. And he had the Police, who were just starting out as well, and we kind of said, like, we need to bring America up to date with what you've been doing, really, because I'm not sure how easy it was to get those singles at the time, and in America, and so it was like, we better do this potted history of all the singles, bring Americans up to date. You had all 7 or 8 hits in the charts, and they don't, we've got to bring them up to date. So that's why Singles Going Steady was born. Now, people in America thought that was our first album, a lot of people, which it was as a release. Good. But it was already, as you know, it was another music in a different kitchen was the official one. But Singles Going Steady came out first and they thought it was our, the new album. I think.
Yeah. Did you know how popular you were getting in America at the time?
Well, we knew, yeah. I mean, right from the beginning, we knew, people wanted us to go to America when we started handling in Britain. But we're so busy over here and so on, it had to be worked out and stuff. That's, we left it for a long time, But the great thing was, we left it for, I think it was 18 months, 2 years at least, which seemed a long time for fans to wait and things like that. But the great thing when we went there, and we played 2 nights at the Irving Plaza, and the Ramones came to see us. And in Los Angeles, we did 6,000 at the Santa Monica Civic, which was a big gig at the time, And we did a few shows on the way. But so people were really glad to see us by the time we got there, And it wasn't that we didn't want to go, it's just that we were so busy and it had to be sorted and organized, isn't it?
Well, those first 2 years, you did 3 albums and countless tours and all these singles. Yeah, I can totally see. Now, one story that I heard is you once invited John Lennon to see Buzzcocks. Is that true?
Yeah, when I came close to that, yeah. I actually phoned the Dakota building. And
you phoned the Dakota. Did you have? Yeah. How did you get that number? You just looked it up?
Well, I don't know how I got that number now, but we'd gone to America and I had a few drinks in the bar in the hotel. And I said, I'm going to phone John Lennon. Just, I'd heard that I'd been to a couple of shows somewhere or wherever, and I thought, no harm in inviting him, So I phoned up the Dakota building, and amazingly, I got through, And I did actually, but they sent, whoever I was, whoever I spoke to, well, here the last song, about coming to the Buzzcocks show. Well, they said, who is that? It's Steve Diggle from Buzzcocks. I said, I live in Manchester, just down the road from Liverpool with John. So they thought it was a friend of mine, I said, he lived just down the road from me, which it did, for 50 miles away, but an hour. But not that I knew him, but they got a message to him, and he said, John said, can you phone back in an hour, Steve, and all that stuff. Phone back in an hour, I'm just busy in a meeting with Yoko or something. So I was blown away. I thought, fuck, I've got through. And he don't really know me, but he must have heard of the band, And so I got as far as that. So after an hour, I didn't phone back, really. I should have. I went back to the bar. And, well, I thought it was a big step making the call, really. You know what I mean? It was so.
Oh, cool.
And I kind of, I should have phoned back looking back. But I just thought, can I be bothered?
Oh, that's all right. Well, we're going to be inviting Ringo to the Metro Theater in Sydney, so maybe you'll finally get it.
Well, yeah. Oh, well, I nearly got to meet Ringo as well. A friend of mine went to see Bruce Springsteen a few years back, and I'm not sure when it was my birthday around that time. So, we went to Wembley to see him. We're kind of backstage and stuff. And it was, the band were going on, Red Springsteen and the DC band and all the stuff were going on. And we were in their dressing room. They'd gone on, we was in the East Street band dressing room, and nobody was there, because they was getting ready to go on. So some commissioner or whatever, some security guy said, I told me, you've got to go this way. So I went out and I thought, I can't see anybody. I was weird. So I walked all the way around the top of the arena, looking for where our seats were. And when I got to the seat, my friend Tony was going, where have you been? I said, well, they sent me out the other door. They said, I had a ticket, I had a seat next to Ringo Starr for you. That was the surprise, Now, Ringo watched a few songs and then he went. So by the time I got there, he's gone.
Oh, he had things to do.
That's two Beatles. Maybe next up, Paul McCartney. I've not met him yet.
All right. We'll see if we can arrange it. Well, look,
right.
Steve, you've been very generous with your time. Thank you so much for joining us here, and we're looking forward to seeing you here in Australia.
Yes.
Watching you tour around, especially playing with bands like Descendants and some of the other folks that are out there that I know are big fans of Buzzcocks and helping share the music of Buzzcocks with a whole new generation. It must be something that's very satisfying for you, yeah?
Oh, it's amazing the resonance of Buzzcocks, how it influenced a lot of people. From R.E.M. to just every band I've met was like, Buzzcocks inspired us to do what we were doing,
Mm-hmm.
So it's been an amazing influence. I mean, we've been doing our own shows in America and just recently. And like I say, we joined the Descendants for I think about 6 shows. Well, we've been out there for 5 weeks. And there was massive fans saying, will you play Autonomy? Will you play it? So we had a great time with them. And then we did the No Effect Festival. They were big fans. But that was a massive festival. It's their they're finishing their final shows, so we just joined them at the end for that. So it's been an amazing thing. And also, we got the new album out, Sonics in the Soul, which came out about a year and a half ago. So that's been going down well on the tour as well. And the future plans is, I've written another album, which was ready in January, but then I wrote it, and we've been on the road all year. I've not had time to record it. At the beginning of the year, I thought there'll be a space to record this, and there's just not been enough time. So I'm hoping in January sometime we can get in the studio and do this new album as well, you know.
Wow.
To carry on from the Sonics and the Thor. If that's been going down well live, you know, which is great too, I think keep the continuation. And now we've kind of got the wheels back on the wagon. I think it'll be important to keep putting out music as long as I can, you know.
Sure. This year you've got all those live dates. You have the book. You know, a lot going on. So, yeah.
Well, a lot's going on, yeah, but there'll be a new album next year at some point, you know, which I know people enjoyed the last one. And, of course, we got the great catalogue that we've been talking about. So, and also, we're really looking forward to coming to Australia now and New Zealand too.
We're looking forward to having you. It's the weather's warming up, so make sure you bring your board shorts.
Well, that's going to be good because it's been really sunny in America, but here in Britain we've got cloud and rain.
Good.
So we're looking forward to coming. I mean, it's going to be great. The band's on fire. Everything's, you know, been going well. So we're looking forward to it.
Oh, Steve, that sounds fantastic. I want to make sure that folks, especially in Australia, know that Buzzcocks are coming October and November of this year. Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth, Newcastle, Sydney, and Melbourne. Dates and ticket links are at buzzcocks.com. And of course, pick up Steve's new book, Autonomy, Portrait of a Buzzcock. It's a fantastic read. Lots of behind the scenes stories and really interesting anecdotes around what led him through life of a buzzcock, the early years, the recordings, the sessions, meeting different people, playing with different folks. It's an amazing book. So again, you can pick that up wherever books are sold online. You could pre-order, or sometimes you may be able to pick them up in the shows. But again, Steve, we look forward to having you here in Australia, and it's an absolute honor to have you on the Vinyl Guide, man.
Thanks so much. It's been a pleasure, yeah.
Oh man, what a lovely bloke. Thank you, Steve, for joining us here on the Vinyl Guide. Looking forward to seeing him and the crew here in Sydney. I think they're playing on November 1 at the Metro Theatre. Of course, anyone else here in Australia, check out buzzcocks.com for tour dates and ticket links, and we'll see you at the shows. And that's it for this episode of The Vinyl Guide. Thank you so much for tuning in. Hey, I want to make a request. Please give us some positive reviews on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 out of 5 or 10 out of 10 stars. Say something nice. We always love hearing that. And huge thanks to everyone who's sharing these episodes on social media. That is a huge help as well. We'll be back shortly with a brand new episode. So until we talk next time, get out there and buy some records, people. Cheers.